Welcome to Hospitality Folks, a podcast about the people behind great hospitality. I'm your host, Alicia Dick Wahlberg. Join me as we talk with hotel teams, managers, and operators about hiring, culture, and what it really takes to build teams that perform at high levels and stay. Welcome back to Hospitality Folks. I'm your host, Alicia Dick Wahlberg. Today, we're talking with Kim, a regional director of sales from StayNTouch in Sweden. Kim is a dedicated hospitality professional who's focused on equipping hotels with effective technology and commercial strategies, ensuring solutions deliver genuine value and avoid the pitfalls of buzzword-driven initiatives. Welcome to Hospitality Folks. I am so excited to have you on for this very special episode. Welcome, Kim.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Kim Spolén. I'm from Sweden. I've basically worked in hospitality all my career. I kind of started when I was 16 already during school. So yes, been in this business forever and don't plan to leave it anytime soon either. So, yes.
So 16, that's pretty early on. What was one of your first roles in hospitality?
That was night porter actually. Since I was studying, I got an extra job. So sometimes during school, I did that in the nighttime, and this was a really small hotel, so you actually could sleep there. But you should still be available if someone came late or checked out early or something like that. So you were in the lobby area, but you were officially allowed to sleep in a chair there. So I could sleep, but still be present. I earned a few bucks during being in school. So this was a really small provincial town in Sweden. So I thought that maybe one time you work in one of these fancy, large 5-star hotels in Stockholm or abroad or something. And in due time I did. So it started there.
Could you tell us a little bit about your journey going from small town Sweden, night porter, to working in one of these fancy hotels in Stockholm?
Yeah. No. So I'm born in Stockholm, just to technically put it. So I was moved. My mother moved to the countryside for different reasons, but I never felt at home there. So as soon as I was ready with my military service, I moved back to Stockholm as quickly as I could, basically, and decided to. I was actually I was planning to go and study for the Royal Dramatic Theatre for theatre school. That was my plan at the time. But I felt that I needed a job to have some money first because I was fairly broke coming just from military service. So I looked in the paper and they were looking for also from actually night porter for the summer. And I applied for that one and got it. And then the summer was over. They hired me permanently as a luggage porter. And this is a fairly famous hotel in Stockholm called Strand Hotel. It's about 100 years old, one of the really nice ones in Stockholm city center. And remained there until they closed for renovation. It was fairly worn down. It was a formerly really nice hotel. It's a lot of famous people been there. Greta Garbo been there, etc., in their prime time. But it was very worn down when I was working there first term. So they closed, and I need to move. So I ended up at the Sheraton in Stockholm, that I thoroughly enjoyed, and that was a kind of a hotel school for me. Because there are so many rules. They had rules for absolutely everything. We have these huge books. Actually, you could find a rule for anything. Child in the lobby, how to handle it. There were a rule for everything, basically.
Oh, that sounds
So
like quite the introduction into long-term management in
it
hospitality.
was. It can't be denied. I learned so much during that time at the Sheraton. I'm really grateful for both my colleagues there and being there at the time. It was extremely good. If I wasn't that experienced at that time, clearly not. So I learned a lot. But in due time, the Strand reopened again, all new, shining, and looked really nice in the brochures. And I was asked to come back since all of us who they had got rid of for the renovation, we were offered to return. And so I did apply to come back, and I actually was there for checking in the very first guest checking in, but the hotel wasn't ready in the end. So it was me with the chair and table in the lobby with nothing else, basically. And one room was ready, and the hotel was with scaffolding all around. It looked terrible. And we had postponed all guest apart from one American family, we hadn't been able to reach. So I was there just to take care of them. We double booked them at the Grand Hotel. And so basically, they should be able to stay with us. We had room, and we had one double booked room at the Grand Hotel around the corner. And they came, they had a child, and they looked at it and said, maybe with the child, it's not a good place, and it's like still in construction. So maybe we go to the Grand. So I put them in the taxi around the corner, ran around, and caught them at the Grand and led them into reception desk. And there at the reception desk, they said, "No, by the way, I think we want to go back again. I think we prefer your hotel." So
Why?
out into a taxi back to the Strand. So we took that as a very good sign. If we could compete with the Grand, even with scaffolding and zero of lobby interior, it was a good start. So I even got a letter afterward that they thanked me for taking care of them. They had a splendid time in Stockholm.
That is a stunning story. And for anyone who's not from Stockholm, the Grand is like creme de la creme
Yeah,
hotels, like
exactly.
luxury to the nines.
Yes, exactly. So to compete with them exactly and to beat them even in the lobby and returning to our lobby with no furnitures or anything and one room, and breakfast was on a tray brought up. So there was no breakfast room either. But no, they stayed with us and they were happy. So yeah, it's a quite funny story of how it can start.
I love this story, and I feel like it's such a good intro into your management style.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, from I remained there for a while, but it's then I moved to another opening of a hotel called the Circle Plaza at the time, and we were heading for being a 5-star deluxe hotel in Stockholm, and so we directly in competition with the Grand, for instance. So and there I remained for many years, basically until I left Techside, and there I did most positions from. I started as assistant manager, front office manager, head concierge, hotel manager, and then I ended up as IT manager there. So, and that's how I suddenly slipped over to the dark side, as I say.
I love this term switching over to the dark side. For anyone not familiar, could you describe what exactly that means?
Well, it's a jokeful term we have that it's like hotel, of course, in itself. If we are, I consider myself a hospitality person. And I'm in the hospitality business, but the hotels themselves, of course, are the good side. It's that's where you maybe in a way of term want to be. But the tech side is we are the ones who are supposed to help them. But sometimes it could be, of course, since we are in sales, that could mean that we can be seen upon that we are just trying to push things on people who don't really want something, etc., etc. And that's always been one of my most important part of what I want to contribute with in hospitality tech is that the most important is to find that the customer actually wants and needs what we are offering, not just trying to close something for the sake of it and move on. And it's for me, it's always been from day one extremely important to find persons, people, companies that actually would benefit from what are offering. So, but
Absolutely.
it's jokingly term, of course, but it's
I love this illusion of just like, come over here, we have cookies. I don't know if you've seen
yeah,
the meme before.
exactly.
But I completely understand what you're saying. My teams, when I used to teach them how to do upselling, I would tell them it's not about a quick bonus or sale. We are looking for long-term relationship with our guests and our
Yes.
customers and understanding the basics. Why are they here with us? What is their trip about? What are they expecting? When you know those informations, you can help them have a better experience. And I think there's a difference between, in the US, we would say this used car salesman mentality
Yeah,
and
exactly.
someone who's selling a long-term relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
I
that's what
I fully
hospitality is
agree.
about.
That's exactly. I never want to be that used car salesman. That's. I think we have the same picture. Actually, often use that kind of picture in when I do presentations, etc. What we are trying to stay away from. Exactly. It's a good picture of pitching, trying to quick sell, cover over what you can or what's not good in your product, and try to convince them as quickly as possible. Sign the line and away. And you try to find some other poor soul to close a deal with.
Absolutely. Now, there's another area that I really love talking with you about, and that is how you teach your teams to avoid these buzzwords in tech when it comes to working with your customers.
That's very much in connection to what we just discussed, that hotel tech have always been, and specifically, or not specifically now, as I say, it's always been, it's since we are trying to, it's part of the deal, of course, since every company on our side need to try to differentiate from the other ones, we need to find to say, why us instead of competitor A, B, C. That leads to that it's very easy to slip into a position where you use buzzwords. These are the things we should talk about. This is how we are doing this and that. And then you need to escalate it more and more and more to say that we are doing it even more than our competitor. And if they escalate, we need to do it again, etc., etc. Like going up a ladder. And right now, I think you agree, being at ITB a couple of weeks ago, where we met, that this year it was AI. Everything is AI. And to be precise, I love AI. I think AI extremely useful. What I don't like is when you are putting a new plastic label of AI on old solutions and try to sell it as something that it's not. So it's what I'm trying to both talk about a lot internally, and whenever I talk to customers and when I'm doing events, etc., is that I try to teach the audience, the buyers, how they should differentiate, how they should see the difference between true AI that could actually help you, and is it just is used as a buzzword from a salesperson, basically not knowing even what they're talking about, just knowing that the word it's 10 years ago it was cloud. That time everything was suddenly cloud, and cloud this, cloud that, without really knowing even why cloud. Do we need cloud? And it's the same now. And so the first question back is, of course, what kind of AI are you using? Because we are not going to be technical, but there are only two levels of AI or technical, that kind of technique used, that are actually allowed to be called AI. Above is not yet existing, we are not there, and below are not allowed to be called AI. So there are two levels that are allowed to be using the approved stamp of AI. And this is difficult, and this is very techy also, and it's customers are not maybe always, it is easy to be ending up in things that you feel that you don't even understand fully. It's a bit too techy, but still, if we use it as an approval stamp from our side, we must be able to say why, how, etc.
What should hoteliers be asking before they adopt new systems then?
Well, first they should start by looking at what they have, because the next, I would say, lesson to be learned is that you can only improve on what you have. So you should basically start with seeing what do we want to replace and what is then remaining, and is this adding up to right? Because if you add something new, the information that should be used is not there. You cannot imagine, then you are having like AI hallucinating over things that they can't find information. So it's like trying to pull out a report of guest interests. If you don't have a field, mandatory field saying guest interest, you can never ever create that kind of report or anything saying, like, let's say you have a board meeting and the GM says, I want to know the interests of all our guests. And the front office manager is trying to pull it out and realizing we are not exactly extracting that. Never ever extract it. So you should always say what we're trying to our goal. Do we have the foundation for achieving it, or must we start by making sure that we are collecting the right kind of data for achieving this? So you don't start buying new solutions, solving a problem that don't have any information to bring in. You follow?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, if a hotelier was looking to add to their tech, how can they know the difference between innovation that's actually going to help them and just noise, essentially?
Noise. Yeah, no, it's, well, I would say question number one is describe what you're doing in detail. Ask the sales to describe what you're doing. And as I said, there are two levels of AI. It's machine learning, and it's the level called, I think it's ANSI. It's the next level. But there are two levels of AI. And these are the only two ones. And if the salesperson can't say that, or don't know, or I need to come back, then make sure that you have that information before moving on. If you think, not saying that everything needs to be AI, but as an example, but whoever they're saying, you need to see that they actually are solving, or you should check also based on what you have. If your PMS, for instance, don't have a specific kind of information, as you said, the field or the information, it can't be extracted. And the next also very important is to make sure that these two solutions you're looking at connecting, that the interface, that the connectivity is on the right level. And that's also a bit techy, and that's why I think a lot of hotels, they know that they shall ask for, is it one-way or two-way integration? But in reality, there are so many more layers to this to see what is actually done in that two-way integration. So the more questions, the better.
And I've also realized, since I'm starting my own AI hospitality tech company, we have
Yeah,
different levels of AI that we use within our products that we're building. One is heavily deep tech, and the other is just AI enabled. And the more I work with hoteliers, they don't tend to be the most tech advanced people, which is okay. They have other super strengths.
yeah.
And so I have found you also have to have, from a sales side, company side, a way of expressing that makes sense to them as well.
Exactly. And that's why we need to come. We should, on the tech side, it's such an advantage if we come from the hotel side ourselves, that we don't, because tech people have a tendency of not really understanding when hospitality people don't follow their techie talk, so to say. And it's in our company, the absolute majority of us come from the tech side, because it makes everything so much easier. And as you say, hospitality people are not very technical. You should know why I became IT manager. Yes, I became IT manager because I was a person at hotel understanding the difference of when asked to restart the computer, restart down and restart the computer instead of the screen. And you're really good. You understand that you shouldn't just restart the screen. So we make you IT manager.
It's a way into a new path.
It was actually on that level how I ended up in IT. So I'm not that techy. I loved tech, but I don't come from the tech side. It's and I would say I'm fairly typical in that way. It's hospitality background, love people, and have a huge interest in understanding tech. Then hopefully you can speak, because you need to speak the same language as the hoteliers you're talking to. That's most important. Don't start with abbreviations and things that you can't nearly understand yourself. Then you're on really thin ice, I would say. So talk a language that is honest and true and understandable, and as few abbreviation and buzzwords as possible when you talk to people.
Know your audience. Oh, that's really lovely. I would love to reflect on your broader experience across operations, IT, and commercial roles. What has changed in hospitality and what hasn't? And with that, what would you suggest to the younger generation that's coming into hospitality careers that they should really focus on to help them have a jump start with a fruitful career in hospitality as AI pops in?
Big one. Let's start at the beginning. What have changed and what have not? I would say a lot of things haven't. It's the buzzword change all the time, but I would say the actual thing is the same. And of course, we are moving forward with new, more advanced solutions. One thing that I do see that's happening that I don't like is that, of course, what we have done very well during the last 10 years, at least something, we are bringing down the technical barriers and silos better and better, meaning that we are much better at connecting solutions nowadays than we were some 10, 20 years ago. On the technical side, we are better and better, and we understand the importance of true integration. And that's a good thing. Fortunately, what have been happening on the same time is that we're starting to build commercial walls instead. So when the technical walls are down, instead we are starting to say, do I want to do business with you? Do I want to do business with this and that company? And that's extremely unfortunate, because this is something I'm starting to encounter more and more over the last years, that previously it was, I'm sorry, we are not on the same platform, we can't do this, and there is technical impossibility for doing this. That's mostly gone. But no, I had this conversation with the company last year, and we had like 3 or 4 different calls, very strange calls, and they never said that they actually didn't want to integrate with us. But there were always, I will discuss this next meeting, we'll bring it to a board meeting, and it was like nothing happening. For in the end, it never happened. And I just got the feeling that they, looking at, without going into details, they saw us a competitor because they had different products on different platforms. And one of the products were actually competing with us. I can see that. I've never seen that as a problem because I don't have a problem cooperating with a company that in one way or another is because I bring to the table what I offer and they can bring what they do, and then it's up to the customer to decide what suits them the best. It's not up to me to say, if I'm here, I don't want any competitor to be around me. I think it's better if I go somewhere. I love to see as many competitors because that means that we are relevant. The customer have a possibility to meet as many vendors in my area as possible. If I'm the only PMS, there's a smaller chance that someone is there with the interest of PMS. But if 5 PMS vendors come, then there's much larger possibility that people with interest of that will be there. Then I will talk about what we do, how we do it, and why we could be a fit. And my colleagues in the business will talk about their product. Some companies don't see it like that. Some companies want to shut out anything that they could see as a competitor. And I think that is extremely unfortunate. And that's something that I unfortunately see growing on the market right now.
Yeah. The second part, what would you suggest to newcomers coming into hospitality careers to help them succeed long term?
Well, in a way, they are already, because the new generation are more techy than my generation, the older generation that is still like mostly on the management level of hotels. I think a lot of things are actually better for the next generation because even if they are true hospitality people, they are still grown with the smartphone in their hands. So they are so much more techy from start. And I think they will bring in a new era of understanding of tech that is truly good for the industry. And I think that hopefully also with a bit of luck could make the understanding on the purchasing side better, would mean that the buzzwords hopefully would be not as effective as they are right now, because buzzwords are best used when you have an ignorant person on the other side don't understanding the difference between this and that. And the more technical advanced the buyer is, the less you can try to use non-existing abbreviations for things just to make it sound fancy.
Yeah, I feel like that also fits, especially with Gen Z. They are the generation who wants authenticity, they want transparency. And so it feels like a very powerful mixture that's about to sweep into the industry
Yeah.
a bit more.
Yeah. No, don't only if to turn the round question, what I'm more worried about is that because we are the hospitality business and we must remain focused on that and not trying to replace too much of the personal interaction with technical solutions, because then we will then we will not be the hospitality industry. And that's my personal largest fear right now. And it's a bit strange because I'm selling tech. So I want the industry to be as technically advanced as possible, but still on the level where it's for the use of the customer to give them more options, not replacing options.
Yeah.
And yes, and that's where I see that where tech should be. Tech should be there to help the employee, to help the hotel, to help management to do better decisions. But you should be extremely careful when you're using tech for replacing things in a hotel, that because we are still there because we want to have that feeling of being taken care of by professionals of the industry. And if we're starting to atomize that too much, it could be risky. It depends on the price level. If you're low-end, cheap hotel, no problem. I fully understand. There will be no receptionist. You will check in with your credit card. Breakfast is arriving in a box, no problem. But on the other, from 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, etc., and these levels, specifically 4 and 5, you should be extremely careful with replacing the personal interaction with the tech stuff. Helping option, yes, there are always people. Some people love to go to the front desk and check in manually. Some prefer, even on a 4 and 5-star, could prefer to do it on their smartphone. So it's to give the options. Absolutely perfect. But replacing, I think one should be careful with.
Yeah, I feel the showcasing right now is that majority of travelers for leisure, they want to experience being taken care of. They want to go away from tech. And so that's actually exactly why my platform, why we're building to really showcase the personalities and the strengths of the individuals and how they fit
Exactly.
into the teams. because you're going to need that superstar team to have that unforgettable guest experience. And that will make the
Yeah,
difference.
absolutely. Absolutely. I fully agree. And so the industry still, and maybe even more than before, always need exactly really hospitality people to be there. And it's, of course, and it can't be denied with wages coming up, etc. So that it's, you need to be careful with who you hire because they need to be multi-talented even more so nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, you can and you should use tech for taking away all the small problems on the side. Absolutely. But like taking example, uh, AI chatbots that are not really helping, those can be extremely frustrating. It's a non-mentioned large hotel chain had one of these when I had a problem, and you just spend 5 minutes with a chatbot. It can't answer, and you're trying to. Could you bring me to some human who could actually answer my question? And no, it couldn't. It just came back with the same non-answers to my questions. Please, why do you even have that functionality in the app if it's not helping? It
Yeah.
just read some of my words. Check-in. It found the word check-in in my text. Okay. Do you want to check in? No, I already checked in. I had a problem with my check-in. Could someone help me solve the problem? You want to check in? No, I don't want to check in. That kind of level, then it's clearly not helping.
I fully agree. That's why I've been gravitating towards this phrase of human first, AI enabled.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really
Yes.
helping people use their strengths
Yes.
and just make
Yes.
what they're doing a lit faster with the help of AI. Not that AI is
Exactly.
doing it all.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. Make AI help us deliver the best service, not replacing that service. Exactly. That's how I think AI have its best possibility to bring this business forward.
As we come to a close, we spoke before that there is a new opportunity in your team opening up. Do you want to maybe promote that and say what you're looking for and who would be a good fit?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. We are looking for regional salesperson in the Dutch region. Here at StayNTouch, and absolutely looking for a true hospitality person, hospitality background, who wants to join our team. And I would say we are standing behind all of the things we have been talking about, how you look upon the business, the important part of seeing beyond the buzzwords and looking long term, cooperating with our customers. So anyone with that kind of mindset, that would be really happy to apply for the job. And I'm truly looking forward to have a new colleague in the Dutch region sometime soon, because we are absolutely expanding on the EMEA market and we need more great people in our team.
Absolutely. So I know German language is a must.
Yes, you should be, and you should be in the region, not on remote. You can, of course, being remote still, but you should be based in the Dutch region. So basically, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, but you should be not on remote from Barcelona. So unfortunately, because we need someone being there and being able to easily move around in the area and meeting customers and prospects.
I know the company language is English, I believe. Do you need
Yes.
to know Swedish as well?
No. It's no. Yeah, of course, corporate language is English. Good English, but basically, yeah, native German or good German is still the most, because we know that in the Dutch region that is important one.
Absolutely.
Actually, more important than in Sweden. In Sweden, it's easier to do sales, and also in the Nordic region. Within my region, we have so many languages, and not all of them are like Swedish and Finnish are nothing alike. Swedish, Danish, Norwegian, no problem, but Finnish, no, not so much.
Different
So
worlds.
yeah, it is. It's on LinkedIn. So if you look at my profile or StayNTouch, you will find it there.
Thank you so much, Kim, for joining Hospitality Folks. For anyone listening, we will have Kim's LinkedIn profile in the description, and also the link if you're interested in applying for the Regional Sales Director of DACH.
Yeah, thank you. Really great, and so happy that we met at ITB. That's why ITB is so important, because you meet so many fantastic people. It's really great that we came across each other, and so thanks for inviting me.